Gentlemen, remove caps. Gentlemen, replace caps. Class seated.
I would like to invite Kimberly Ang to come to the podium to introduce our salutatorian. Kim Ang.
I didn't realize I get to be the first to speak today, so keep that in mind. When Angela first asked me to introduce her at graduation, I was ecstatically happy. I mean, Angela was giving me the opportunity to speak at graduation, and better yet, she was giving my parents the opportunity to videotape me speaking at graduation. I accepted ecstatically, but soon after, I got a little hesitant about writing the speech. Yes, my senioritis had kicked in really hard and really strong. Ask any of my teachers about it. And I didn't know what I was going to say today. Then I actually started writing it yesterday afternoon. And it came to me easily. It didn't come to me easily because I'm some great writer or some Shakespearean training. It came to me easily because my subject's pretty easy to talk about. It's not like it's actually hard to figure out what Angela has done in her 4 years at Chelmsford High School. It's actually a lot harder to figure out which accomplishments to mention in the time that I have to speak. Angela Mohan is gifted in just about everything. As math team captain, she finds herself at home among blackboards filled with logarithms and trigonometric equations, speaking in numbers instead of words. As a member of the mock trial team, it's just the opposite. She speaks in words instead of numbers, dishing out objections and closing arguments like she was on Ally McBeal or The Practice. As a principal violinist in the orchestra, she lets the violin do all the speaking for her. And, best of all, Angela's not arrogant. That's the hard part of it all for us. She's pretty much perfect, but you can't hate her because she's not arrogant. So actually, let me change that. And worst of all, Angela is not arrogant. In fact, Angela wants to be a math teacher after she finishes her 4 years at MIT. Not exactly the most high-paying job ever. I could go on, but I won't. I think my parents have enough videotape of me speaking now, and Angela's accomplishments could keep us here for another hour or two. So, without further ado, let me introduce my mathematically, verbally, and musically gifted classmate and friend, our salutatorian, Miss Angela Mohan.
Thanks, Kim. Back in September of 1999, I sat in an overheated library with all the other Whittier freshmen, and I listened to Mr. Battle speak at our very first class meeting. He told us that our 4 years at CHS would fly by. Now, during these past 4 years, I haven't always agreed with Mr. Battle, especially when I had a long English paper or a big history project due. But at other times, especially towards the end, I started to look back on my high school years, and I couldn't believe how much I had changed since that day 4 years ago. In fact, we've all changed. High school is where we grew up. We got our driver's licenses, we got jobs, and we got college acceptance letters. Very soon, we will all have high school diplomas. But high school was a lot more than that. Our high school experiences will stay with us no matter where we end up. Life for all of us may be drastically different in the fall, but as somebody once said, just because everything is different doesn't mean that everything has changed. You might be living in a dorm room, eating something other than your mother's cooking for the very first time, and sharing a bathroom with 20 complete strangers. But you will still have 4 years worth of memories. They may not all be good, but they will be there. The good experiences, along with the bad, helped us begin to define ourselves as people. When I try to think about all of the classes that I've learned a lot from, all of the new things I got to do through my activities, and all the friends I've made in high school, I realize just how much there is. And when you have 400 students, all taking different classes, and having different groups of friends over the course of 4 years, everybody ends up with their own unique memory or experience. You might remember how hard you practiced with your sports team, and how much you enjoyed the sweet taste of victory. But maybe your team didn't win a whole lot. Maybe it wasn't the big championship game that you will remember, but that killer practice that you somehow got through. And knowing that you're dedicated enough to finish a practice like that may actually come in handy when you have that first 25-page paper due in college. You have something from CHS to take with you. But you don't have to be an athlete to have gained something from CHS. I'm sure many of us can name teachers that impacted us. Teachers that really helped you understand the subject, teachers who are always there to help, and teachers that actually, God forbid, made you enjoy their classes. I, along with everyone else in my math class the past 2 years, looked forward to every Friday, not just because of the upcoming weekend, but because of Mr. Pasquale's Friday quizzes. And as those in my English class this year can attest, I learned so much in Mr. Kamal's English class that I almost didn't mind that my fingers used to turn purple because his room was so cold. In fact, when my friends from that class were signing my yearbook on Monday, they all said not to forget what we now call his Kamalisms. I will probably remember Mr. Kamal telling us how to combat an unexpected attacker with our textbooks, more than I will remember one of his lectures. So we have our academic experiences to take with us from CHS. And I'm not just talking about something you learn from a book, but the little things that you'll be able to look back on with a smile. But then again, maybe I'm wrong. What you remember from CHS may not have happened between 7:24 and 1:57, but after school ended. And that's because so much goes on in school after the bell rings. Well, you probably won't want to remember getting stuck in the parking lot for half an hour, something that happened to me pretty often, but if you had to stay after school for an activity or for a sport, you know what I'm talking about. Some of my favorite memories come from things that I did after classes ended. Until recently, most of my Sunday nights were spent watching TV or starting my homework for the weekend. This year, however, I did something most people would be a little wary of. I went to my teacher's house. Like everyone else on the mock trial team, Sunday night meant practicing at Mrs. Coffey's house. We learned how to be lawyers and witnesses, all the while eating Mrs. Coffey's brownies and making a mess of her house. Along the way, we won the state championship and traveled to New Orleans for the national competition. So whether I was raising an objection in court or exploring the French Quarter, mock trial, among other things, is something I will never forget. But there are so many clubs at CHS that I don't know a whole lot about. I don't think I could name all of them. But looking in the directory at the back of the yearbook, anyone can see that there are so many people here involved in so many different things. And from our involvements, we all have something we can take with us. It didn't have to be a big trip or a triumph in a big competition, but perhaps a new friend you made, something new you learned, or just fun that you had. But years from now at our reunions, we won't be talking about our grades or the clubs we were in. What we will be doing is catching up with our friends that we may or may not have kept in touch with. And that is probably what we will remember the most from high school, the people who survived along with us. Your friends, they're the ones who listened on the phone while you were having a crisis, and were also there to share a laugh. We may not see our friends every day anymore, but we will still have our friendships to take with us. So what I've said so far is that we all have something that we can take with us from our CHS experience. Granted, nobody here wants to take everything, the cafeteria lunches, for example, but everybody will be able to find something. It could be anything from a championship trophy to that really funny conversation you had one day at lunch. Now see, we're graduating, and it seems like this is the time when people start rattling off one cliche after another. But I mean this sincerely. The most important things that you take with you, wherever you go, may not come in a suitcase. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to me for this long. Best of luck to everyone here. Thanks.
Mr. Thomas, would you please join me at the podium? Mr. Thomas, on behalf of the class of 2003, it gives me great pleasure to present you with this gift. The class wishes that our money be used to buy a granite lion, which will be placed in the front of our school in the garden. The class of 2003 is happy to donate this gift to Chelmsford High School as a token of our appreciation.
On behalf of the students, staff, and administration of Chelmsford High School, I'm pleased to accept this gift from the class of 2003. I assure you that it will be used as you have indicated. Thanks again.
I would now like to invite Gary Heffernan, president of the class of 2004, to the podium. Gary, it is my pleasure, as the president of the class of 2003, to present you with this gavel, the symbol of authority and responsibility in our school. The class of 2003 wishes you and the class of 2004 the best in future endeavors during your senior year and years to come. We sincerely hope that you and your class will follow and uphold the fine traditions that have been established over the years at Chelmsford High School. Gary, this gavel has meant a lot to me throughout my senior year, and I know that it will mean a lot to you. Good luck and have a great year. Don't forget this.
Okay. Dan and graduates of the class of 2003. On behalf of the class of 2004, I am very honored to accept this gavel. I hope that we as a class will be as successful in our accomplishments as you in the class of 2003 were in yours. Speaking for the entire class, I congratulate you on your successful journey thus far and wish you the best of luck and happiness in the future. You will be sadly missed. The class of 2004 respects the fine example you have set for us, and we will follow it with pride. May you always find peace and happiness in remembering the good times you had at Chelmsford High School. Good luck to you all, and thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Well, the other day I was talking to someone about getting to make this speech, and that person asked me if I thought I was going to be nervous about getting up in front of this large group of people. My quick response was, no, I'm not going to be nervous. All the faces will just blend in, and I won't even notice that I'm talking to a few thousand people. Boy, was I wrong. But regardless of whether or not I'm nervous right now, I wouldn't be here today without the help of a few people, especially my mom, dad, and my brother Jim. Nor would I have made it here today without the help and support of my best friends. And certainly none of us would be sitting here today after a successful senior week without the hard work of my fellow class officers, Susie Morano, Frankie Meathy, Carolyn Musnix, and Albert Lynn. And of course our hard-working class advisors, Ms. Deborah Haywood and Mr. Matt Bartos. All of these people have been very integral in creating this great senior week and in leading our class this year and the past 4 years. I would now once again like to take this time to applaud all of those people on their hard work for the past 4 years, and especially this year. Standing here today in front of the graduating class of 2003 almost seems hard to fathom. We've watched as the classes of 2000, 2001, and 2002 exited our hallways and more or less walked out of our lives. It didn't occur to most of us that we would also be leaving the halls of Chelmsford High School someday. We sat through hundreds of classes and lectures, and it didn't seem as if this day would ever come, especially on those hot days in May when it was so hard not to make a break for the beach on our way to school. But nevertheless, we made it. We're graduating from high school, and it was certainly a long and winding road. Today is the fruition of all the work and time that we have put into high school over the past 4 years. High school was a challenge, and this class stood up and faced it. The challenge of graduating high school has indeed been a very different endeavor for each graduate here today. For some, the challenge of high school is maintaining a 4.0 grade point average and being in the top 10% of our class. For others, the challenge has been conquering a learning disability that makes it harder for them to comprehend and understand their subjects. And of course, there have been the challenges of making it to your club meeting, then to your athletic practice, and then to your job, leaving just enough time to write that 3-page English paper due the next day. But no matter what your challenge has been, if you're here today wearing a cap and gown, you have met your challenge, and I'd like to congratulate you. However, our challenges have not been only academics. We entered the school this year with speculation and hearsay facing the administration of this school. But by showing our responsibility and maturity, we showed full support for our principal, Mr. Al Thomas, and we didn't make a mockery out of what could have been a potentially disastrous situation. In fact, we did just the opposite. We showed our community just how impressive the youth of this town actually is. In another situation, we were faced with more controversy and press facing our athletic director. This would have been an ideal situation for our school to turn on him and allow the public to eat him up. Once again, we did just the opposite. We generated positive press for our athletic director, and his hockey team did him proud by beating Austin Prep. This is another example of our student body being presented with a challenge, facing it together, and coming out on top. Abraham Maslow once said, "If the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail." Throughout this year, the class of 2003 has seen many nails, and as a result, we've all come out master craftsmen. We've also experienced extracurricular challenges this year. Once again, we faced them, and the achievements of the class of 2003 have been nearly unparalleled. We had a football team place second in the Division II conference, and we were able to gain the MVC crown for an unprecedented 4th year in a row. We also witnessed as the boys' swim team won the state championship for the 2nd year in a row. Led by strong leadership, this team is undeniably the most underappreciated team in our school. Another accomplishment was observed when our hockey team went up against the private school Titans in the Super 8 tournament. They won a game and finished in the top 6 in our state that is nationally recognized for having some very stiff competition. We also saw our mock trial team win the state's championship for the first time in our school's history. This event is dominated by schools whose students have been participating in the mock trial program for 4 years, but ours was a team of first-year participants. We also had a state champion computer team. This feat is extremely impressive because if you think about all the people in our country who have computer expertise, Chelmsford High School fielded the best team in the state and finished in the top 10 in the nation when it came to using computers. And also, along with the help of some underclassmen, Chelmsford High School's DECA team had 10 different people win states in their respective category and moved on to the national championships held in Orlando. And as we sit here at graduation, our accomplishments have not yet come to a conclusion. Our softball team is still in the midst of a very successful season. And tonight they are playing again in Lowell to move on, and they have already captured a share of the MVC title. We are truly an impressive class, and no one can deny that. The class of 2003 has certainly been challenged this year, and in years to come we will be challenged again. The future is going to hold a series of challenges which will determine the people that we're going to be. However, thanks to this high school and the tribulations and triumphs that we've experienced here together, I'm sure that we will all hit the real world head on. And on that road to the real world, we will undoubtedly hit some bumps in the road. But as long as we think back to the perseverance, maturity, and utter ease with which we have dealt with challenges here at Chelmsford High School, we should have no trouble getting over those bumps on the road, on our road to success. And for the time being, we have met the challenge of graduating from high school, a feat which means something different to each and every one of us. But while this accomplishment means something different to everyone, we are forever bonded by the fact that we have gotten here together. An author once said that if we had no winter, the spring would not be so pleasant. If we had not sometimes tasted adversity, prosperity would not be so welcome. And here we are on June 8th, in the spring of our graduating year 2003, and in the spring of our lives. Enjoy this current prosperity, and I wish you all the best of luck in future winters and springs. Thank you, class of 2003, and for the times and people that I won't be forgetting anytime soon. You've all meant so much to me, and it's truly been a pleasure to be the president of this class. Thank you all very much.
Honored guests, parents, friends, and members of the class of 2003. Welcome to the Chelmsford High School commencement exercises. As principal of this outstanding public high school, I want to open by acknowledging some of the accomplishments that have been made during this school year. While the senior class has not been solely responsible for all of them, their leadership and talents have been key in bringing them all about. Our Destination Imagination team earned a world championship at the University of Tennessee. Our mock trial team won the Massachusetts State Championship and competed with distinction at the National Championship in Louisiana. Our boys swimming and diving team won a second straight state championship. The Chelmsford High School Orchestra won a gold medal and performed at Symphony Hall. We had 4 National Merit semi-finalists and finalists and 11 commendation recipients. Our calculus team is ranked 6th in the country. Our mathematics team is ranked 15th. The music department has just completed presentation of an outstanding production of Funny Girl. Our computer teams just returned from the national championship in Anaheim, California, where the intermediate team placed 6th and the senior team was 12th. The varsity boys hockey team won the MVC DCL Division I championship and played well in the MIAA's Elite 8 tournament. The dance team recently presented their annual recital, Get Up and Dance. Our junior varsity A team took first place at the Junior Engineering Technical Society's teams competition. Chelmsford High School was ranked both high and above target on both the English Language Arts and Mathematics MCAS tests. 9 DECA students qualified for the International Conference in Orlando, Florida, where they competed with distinction. Chelmsford was named one of the best 100 communities in the United States for music education. Members of our Theater Guild have won awards for acting, stage management, costumes, and playwriting. Over 1,200 students attended our winter holiday dance. Our students have won Boston Globe Scholastic Art Recognition. The girls' cross-country team won the MVC championship while going undefeated. Students from our music program have won district and all-state recognition. The girls' ski team went undefeated and won their league title. Our students give endless hours in service to the community. 2 obvious examples are the Chelmsford 24-Hour Relay Challenge, where some 600 of our students participated to raise money to fund a variety of community projects. Our students also spend endless hours officiating and coaching in all of the Chelmsford youth sports programs. The varsity baseball team was co-MVC champions. Our student council runs numerous activities. Recently, they ran an annual leadership conference held at and with the support of the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. As you just heard, the varsity softball team won the MVC title and plays tonight for the Division I North Sectional Championship. Our marching band won a bronze medal and played at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. The Voice and the Lion, our school publications, are always of the highest quality. The boys tennis team went undefeated while winning the MVC title and finished second in the Division I North Sectional Tournament. We have the best pep rally in Eastern Massachusetts before the annual Thanksgiving Day football game with Bill Ricka. And speaking of football, the team won the MVC title and played in the Division II Super Bowl. Every time I've spoken or written about the students of Chelmsford High School this year, I've been able to list without any reservation and with great pride a wide variety of accomplishments. I have also proclaimed and will now, once again, that Chelmsford High School is a great school and the class of 2003 is a great class. Members of the class of 2003, I want to thank you for your leadership and for sharing your talents. But I would also like to make one other observation, which has nothing to do with what I've talked about so far. Television is a wonderful electronic media. It plays a major role in the culture of our society. It informs us about the events of the day. It provides us with many different forms of entertainment. It allows us to see places and events that otherwise we would never see. It helps us to learn about an endless number of people and topics. We watched as the World Trade Towers crumbled to the ground. We watched as we fought in Iraq. We have become so much more knowledgeable because of this great electronic tool. However, recently we've been seduced by a new development. That development is called reality TV. We've been taught to look for love and truth and adventure and personal fulfillment while sitting in an overstuffed chair or on a couch. Yes, I know that Trista of Bachelorette fame would have loved me and fallen in love with me if only she had known me. I know that the Osbournes and Anna Nicole are strangely interesting. And I dislike Richard Hatch just as many of you did. But be brave. Get out of your chair or off of your couch and participate in the world. You may not be able to be in the great race, but you can be in the Carson race on the 4th of July. You may not be able to compete in the America's Cup, but you could sail on Boston Harbor or row on the Merrimack. You may not be able to climb Mount Everest, but you could climb Robin Hill, Mount Monadnock, or perhaps even Mount Washington. You may not be able to explore at the North Pole, but you can cross-country ski in Carlisle State Forest or ski at Neshoba Valley. And as you know, if you really want to, you could see the Colosseum in Rome, or walk on the Great Wall of China, or float down the Amazon River. If one of those adventures is important enough to you, and if you work hard enough, and if you plan well, you can go and do those things. In a 1991 Macintosh computer ad, the following wisdom was put forth. If there were ever a time to dare, to make a difference, to embark on something worth doing, it is now. Not for any grand cause necessarily, but for something that tugs at your heart, something that's your aspiration, something that's your dream. You owe it to yourself to make your days count. Have fun, dig deep, stretch, dream big. And I would add, get up off the couch, shut off the reality TV shows, and go out into the world and be an active participant in the real reality show, life. Best of luck to each of you. Best of luck to each of you, and please stay in touch. Come back and visit and tell us about your adventure. Thank you very much. It is now my most sincere pleasure to introduce the educational leader of our school system, Dr. Richard H. Mosier, Superintendent of Schools. Dr. Mosier.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I would also like to offer my congratulations to the class of 2003, and I think the comments that Dan made earlier and Mr. Thomas made just now are very apropos. This is an outstanding class, and we congratulate you on your 4 years at Chelmsford High School. And it's only fitting that we have one of the most outstanding graduates from many years ago for our speaker this afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Arnold Holtberg, better known as Arnie. And I've known that in going around the stadium today. I heard any number of people, some sitting over there, who yelled to Arnie. A gentleman, when we were coming down the center aisle, said he was the best football quarterback Chelmsford's ever had. Now, that may be enough as an introduction, but he's done so much more. I'm also very pleased to introduce someone who is a fellow educator and has chosen education as his career goal. Arnie graduated from Chelmsford in 1966 and was just an outstanding. He went on to Princeton University, where he graduated cum laude 4 years later. And during his 4 years at college, Arnie earned varsity letters in football and baseball and participated in many other activities. He earned particular honors in baseball. He was elected to the NCAA Coaches All-American team. He was elected to the All-District 2 NCAA, to All Ivy League Baseball, to All Eastern Intercollegiate Baseball League. He received the Caffer Trophy for outstanding contribution to Princeton baseball, and he received the Clark Trophy for outstanding baseball player at Princeton University. Upon graduation from Princeton University, Arnie was a full-time student in the Lutheran Theological Seminary in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He completed an internship at the Trinity Lutheran Church in Worcester, Massachusetts, and 3 years later, he received a Master of Arts in Religion degree in Pastoral Care and Counseling from the Lutheran Theological Seminary. Since the mid-70s, Arnie has devoted his career to young people. He has been a teacher at Lawrence Academy in Groton, Massachusetts. In the mid-70s, he was a teacher and counselor for the Lunenburg Public Schools. He was also the Dean of Students in Lawrence Academy in 1978 through 82. In the mid-80s, he was a high school principal in the Hong Kong International School. He's been headmaster of the Louisville Collegiate School in Louisville, Kentucky. And since 1993, Arnie's been the headmaster of St. Mark's School of Texas in Dallas, Texas. In the spirit of many Chelmsford graduates, Arnie's been involved in many organizations, served on many boards, and participated in a lot of activities after leaving Chelmsford High School and Princeton University. For starters, he played Class A baseball for the New York Yankees in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the summer of 1970. Participated on many boards, the Board of Advisors for Bickle and Bickle Leadership Program. He's been on the Board of Trustees for the International Coalition of Boys Schools. He's been on the Board of Directors for the Japan American Society of Dallas-Fort Worth, President of the Kentucky Association of Independent Schools, and in the mid-80s, he was president of the Hong Kong Little League Board of Directors. Arnie's background is rich with wonderful experiences. He's been an athlete scholar his entire life, and he has devoted his career to helping other people. And he is an outstanding role model for our soon-to-be graduates. Arnie is married to Jan Holtberg, and he has 3 children, 2 of whom are grown, and 1 of whom is about to graduate from high school, Jenna, Nathan, and Michael. Please help me welcome back Arnie Holtberg.
Welcome. Thank you. Dr. Moser, thank you very much for that very warm welcome and kind introduction. Dr. Moser, Mr. Thomas, faculty, staff, members of the great class of 2003, family and friends. It's truly a great joy and honor to be here with you today. Having lived away from New England now for more than 20 years, my visits to Chelmsford are rather infrequent. It's simply good to be here. The challenge before me is to make sense, to leave with you something you can take away from this ceremony, and to be short. I'll do my best to meet all 3 of those criteria. The Chinese have an aphorism: may you live in interesting times. You do, and you will. Perhaps this is a time more complicated than ever before, a time when the world has shrunk, when we can connect with virtually every corner of the globe almost instantaneously. Not only can we make phone calls anywhere, but we can fax hard copies of information in seconds to other lands and readily connect via email. The internet seems to be modern life at times. You have lived through 9/11 and the war in Iraq. We watch battles on TV live as though we were watching the Super Bowl. We've been bombarded with a bewildering array of images, and we can't seem to tolerate quiet. We have been presented with challenges as individuals and as a nation. In this context, you have made many choices thus far, and will make many, many, many more in the future. As I prepared for this ceremony, I thought back to my senior year at Chelmsford High School. You may have seen the movie We Were Soldiers Once, or read the book on which it is based. That episode of the Vietnam War occurred in November 1965, my senior year here. At that time, I was trying to make educational and career decisions, to attend West Point and become a military officer, or go to a civilian college and seminary and become a Lutheran minister. Choices, real life choices, and here I am, headmaster of a school. You are on the verge of making many such decisions that will carry you throughout your lives. Earlier this year, I heard a speaker say, "Seek not to lighten your burden, but to strengthen your back." Success comes at a price. I remember friends of mine who rowed crew in college. They went to the lake before and after classes, spending endless hours for just a few moments of glory. They had that can-do spirit that makes this country of ours so very great. In a study of leaders, when asked what it takes to run their organizations, they said persistence and self-knowledge, the willingness to take risks and accept losses, commitment, consistency, challenge. There are no undefeated lives, and we often discover more about ourselves in difficult times than easy. As you now know, I was a rather successful athlete in high school and college. My senior year at Princeton as a place kicker, I missed a field goal that cost us a game against one of our great rivals, Yale. I can tell you, my teammates remember that moment to this day, and it's been 34 years since. When I graduated from college, I left as a first-team All-America catcher, but I wasn't drafted by any major league team. I had to sign as a free agent, a great disappointment at age 22. My encouragement to you is to acknowledge that disappointment and defeat are part of life, but that disappointment cannot define you. I was told here at Chelmsford High School that adversity builds character, and as trite as that may seem, I believe it to be absolutely true. I trust all of you are familiar with a quote by Teddy Roosevelt, former President of the United States. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbled, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, strives valiantly or errs, and comes up short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end of the triumph of high achievements, who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls that know neither defeat nor victory. Put yourself in a position to have no regrets. That may seem like difficult advice, but I urge you to act when alone as if your actions will be made public on the front page of the Boston Globe. Do the right thing, the Spike Lee movie says. That's what you're called to do. That's what we're all called to do in big and small ways. We know about Enron, WorldCom, Tyco. Let me tell you about one moment of regret that I have. A few years ago, I was in Princeton, New Jersey, and thought about calling my college baseball coach to say hello, perhaps to visit him or have dinner. But rather than make the effort to extend myself, I took the easy way out. A couple of months later, I learned of the gentleman's death, and I regretted my failure to act properly. It seems so easy to have no regrets. I've read the books, In Search of Excellence, Creating Excellence, The Passion for Excellence, and more. American culture defines excellence in varying manner, and often in ways which I find less than desirable. We are told that our physical appearance is so important that we abandon health for so-called beauty. I turn on the television to see people selling machines which will give me great abs. Pretty threatening message for an old, washed-up ex-athlete. Everywhere we look, we see images of perfection. We're led to believe that a pain-free, struggle-free life is just ahead if we follow a simple prescription or two. Hyperbole abounds. Nothing is good anymore. If it's not great, it's subpar. Universities and schools have reported grade inflation for years. Whatever happened to the simple notion of competence, a notion which communicates strength and depth? Being number one alone seems to matter. Look at the fascination we have with sports rankings. The argument over who's number one reduces the concept of playing games for their own sake to absurdity. My definition of excellence is not about perfection at all. In fact, excellence ought to be and feel messy. Not sloppy, mind you, but messy. I think of an experience I had nearly 20 years ago in Hong Kong, wherein I accompanied a group of students on an Outward Bound program. And I'm a big Outward Bound fan. To seek, to strive, and not to yield. A great motto. To seek, to be in the hunt. To strive, to work hard, not to yield, to persevere against all odds. You see, what makes excellence messy for me is that I see this concept not just as a function of achieving, but also of striving, tackling the difficult tasks which lead to the accomplishment of an end result. Back to my anecdote. One afternoon, my group was assigned to do some rock climbing. If you've tried this activity, you know it can be very challenging. And in our case, we had several individuals who were not overly athletic or even in sound physical condition. Our climb was difficult enough, never mind that geckos, lizards, lived in the crevices where we had to place our hands to lift us upward. One young woman in my group found the experience more than a bit troublesome. I can still see the anguish on her face, the tears on her cheeks as she struggled up the face of the mountain. Ambivalence was written all over her countenance. But you know, in Outward Bound, there is no turning back. She worked and worked, stretched and stretched, cried and cried, and she made it to the top of the rock face. under her own steam. Was she going to win an award as a rock climber? Not at all. Could she have taught others the skills of climbing? Probably not. But at that moment, Heidi defined excellence. She saw the goal, she struggled mightily, she persevered, and she made it. Perfection? Absolutely not. Sheer striving and full engagement in the moment? Yes. Who defines your limits? Who tells you how far you can reach? I remember Dave McPhalem, my high school baseball coach, telling me and my teammates over and over again to know our limitations. He wasn't encouraging us to think small. He was asking us to know our strengths and our weaknesses so that we could fit into a team concept, so that we could help the team function maximally. We won the Class B Eastern Mass Championship following this advice. If you acknowledge your limitations, you can stretch them, push against them, even exceed them. Growth comes from self-recognition and a willingness to become stronger, better, more capable. Know your limitations, but never be bound by the artificial limits set by others. Think carefully about criticism, take it to heart, but make your own decisions about how far you can go, what you can do. Recently, I had the good fortune to hear an address by Dr. Norman Borlaug, who won the 1970 Nobel Peace Prize for developing a strain of wheat that has fed nearly 1 billion people over time. Dr. Borlaug, in fact, is credited with saving more lives than any other person in human history, and is a hero to developing nations around the globe. His early personal history strikes me as ordinary, yet important. Norman Borlaug grew up on a farm in Iowa and attended the University of Minnesota to wrestle, and then years and years later rose to greatness. Some 70 years ago, figuratively speaking, he was sitting right where you are. I love his quote. I think there are a lot of potential leaders who never become leaders because they don't put out that extra effort to move into unexplored territory. It's pretty boggy ground out there on the front lots of times, but the difference is courage. When my daughter was in elementary school in Hong Kong, she put a poster on her bedroom door. The poster's caption was, "Girls can do anything," and it pictured a girl opening a door with a placard reading "President" on it. At that moment, I knew that Jenna was ready to believe in herself, test her limits, and refuse to accept anyone's glass ceiling, even at that tender age. My conception of excellence doesn't mean never failing either. In my favorite poem, If, Rudyard Kipling wrote, "If you can make a heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose, and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on." And my final thought, and I came upon this as I reflected in my office the other day, the image of a gyroscope came to mind. And that's easy because I keep one on my desk. But why a gyroscope? A wheel mounted in a ring so that its axis is free to turn in any direction, yet when that wheel is spun rapidly, it keeps its original plane of rotation no matter which way the ring is turned. While some things change, an element of the gyroscope's activity remains constant. You get the gyroscope spinning, and it will balance at an angle on the tip of your finger, even as you move your hand about. Get it spinning and it will balance on the edge of a drinking glass. If you try to punch it down gently, it will right itself. It will walk a string. The point is that the gyroscope spins all around but remains centered. Now, I think people in gyroscopes have something in common. We all change, we move around. and I certainly know about that. But as we change our circumstances, our ideas, our academic majors, our jobs, our addresses, we need to have internal gyroscopes to keep us on course so that no matter what difficulties are visited upon us or what pressures are brought to bear, we can keep ourselves righted and behave according to principle, not situation. To strive, to seek the best is what this day is all about for you graduates. No matter what you choose to do, no matter what path you take, no matter how many obstacles you have to overcome, keep your gyroscope spinning. Excellence, practically and morally, comes at a price. In her work, Respect, Sarah Lawrence Lightfoot of the Harvard Graduate School of Education wrote, "They do everything to give us knowledge so we can take care of ourselves." This is your time. You have been given the knowledge to take care of yourselves. You have already accomplished a great deal and have continued the magnificent tradition that is Chelmsford High School's. I just ask that you get out there and find a way to make a difference. Congratulations, good luck, and Godspeed.
This certifies that Arnold E. Holtberg has been granted membership in the class of 2003 and is therefore entitled to this honorary diploma. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I would like to invite Will Sayers to come forward and introduce us to the valedictorian of this class.
Today, I have the special privilege of introducing our valedictorian, someone who I have come to know well over our 4 years at Chelmsford High School. Since freshman year, our valedictorian has been an active member of our high school community. He was a member of the mathematics team for 4 years and was its co-captain. He was also a member of the Rufus Porter Society, our school science club. Served as the club's communication director junior year and as its president. He's also been a member of the Thomas Jefferson Forum through all 4 years at Chelmsford High School. He's also involved himself in volunteer work by Christmas caroling and senior residences since the 9th grade, participating in the senior games also since freshman year. One thing that has always struck me about him is that whenever he saw students struggling, whether it be in algebra, history, or English, he was always willing to help them solve the problem and increase their understanding of the topic. I can recall numerous times during our junior English class with Miss Arena when he helped me to better understand the symbolism in a novel. I also constantly engage him in discussions in an attempt to decipher an author's meaning in a particular passage. I've come to know our valedictorian to be one of the most friendly and most knowledgeable people at Chelmsford High School. I remember class discussions vividly when he was quick to interject a comment or use his quick wit to lighten the conversation. Now, it is my great pleasure to introduce our class valedictorian, Shamik Bhattacharya.
Thanks, Will. Respected guests, Principal Mr. Thomas, teachers, parents, relatives, and my dear friends, good afternoon. First of all, on the behalf of my entire class of 2003, I'd like to thank all our teachers, our counselors, Mr. Thomas, and the entire school faculty for making it possible for us to be here today. Thank you for guiding us, for leading us, and for building us up. On a more personal note, I'd like to deeply thank my parents for inspiring me and motivating me to do my best. Also, I cannot overstate my thanks to the community of Chelmsford. For 12 years, We have constantly asked for so much, and you have always provided. Thank you. I'm indeed honored to have the chance to offer a few words on this momentous day of our lives. After 12 years of solid education, we all proudly stand today with a myriad of opportunities before us. The sun will not only set this evening on our past 12 years, but is also sure to rise tomorrow morning on a more glorious future filled with more achievements, more successes, and more accomplishments. Yet, among the certainties of life, failure is undoubtedly one of them. None of us here can truthfully claim that we have never failed, and for all our successes, failure is sure to play part in the future as well. Nevertheless, failures are also necessary. As George Eliot said, failure, after long perseverance, is much grander than never to have its striving good enough to be called a failure. Indeed, I believe that what matters is not so much failure itself as one's response to it. We must be able to strengthen our resolve to unflinchingly meet the challenge while preserving hope in better times to come. The ability to overcome failure is essentially a question in keeping faith in the future. I sincerely believe that hope is an inestimable quality that we all possess but seldom acknowledge. As the English novelist Ouida said, quote, "Take hope from the heart of man, and you make him a beast of prey," unquote. Consequently, never underestimate the power of hope. Our hopes are what individualize each of us from the rest of the 6 billion specimens of our species. No profession, nobly conceived and actively pursued, is devoid of hope. I have no doubt that all individuals possess special talents, and you have simply to realize that talent. Yet, talent without hope and imagination does not lead to any success. Perhaps Emily Dickinson describes hope best. Quote, "Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all," unquote. Thus, after attending high school together for 4 years, even though we'll head to different places and different professions, I'm sure, however, that a steady hope for a bright and successful future will forever unite us. Thank you for your polite attention, and good luck.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the school committee, Mrs. Sheila Bichette.
Thank you to all who have made this special day possible. As a member of the Chelmsford School Committee, it is my honor to join you today to celebrate your many accomplishments. Everyone here has experienced many, many tests and exams throughout their past years in the Chelmsford school system. Some you have excelled in, and some you have not. Now you are about to embark on another journey where you will encounter many challenges utilizing all of your skills. I was one of those students who did not get through tests well. I knew there would be no more PSATs, no more SATs, and for you, no more MCAS. I was so glad when I finally graduated because there would be no more tests, but that did not happen. Challenges and tests in everyday life are something that we all need to accept because they are always with us. Some of life's challenges we are never prepared for, but others we can only be well prepared for by planning ahead. At times, life can also be a series of tests. Your quality of life may depend on how you live and how you learn. tests help us grow, as some of them come unannounced, just like those pop quizzes that we've all experienced. There will be times in your life when your strength and integrity will be tested. There will also be times during these tests that you will experience much joy and many successes. I believe that it is truly important how you handle each situation that arises, as well as how you keep your integrity and self-worth during these challenging times. Be true to your feelings. Hold them as a gift that will guide you through your many tomorrows. Hold on to the education that has brought you to this place and cherish the experiences that have been with you from kindergarten through high school. By using that knowledge, you can solve some of the important challenges that you will encounter. No matter how many challenges you will face when you leave Chelmsford High School, you can always remember the good, strong, and genuine caring that you have experienced from your teachers and mentors. Most of all, be yourself and be true to yourself. Only you know how your true talents and how to make them shine for the rest of the world to see. The incredible poet Robert Frost, whose verses are heard through the decades, once wrote, "Always fall in with what you're asked to accept. Take what is given and make it over your way." It is through challenges and tests that will start tomorrow that will shape you into the person who in later years will reflect upon this day as a start to a wonderful future. I would like to leave you with one thought. Depend on that one person you can rely upon, yourself. Please do not forget those who have encouraged and assisted you along the way to this graduation day. You are special and always will be to them. Congratulations. As you begin your new journey, gladly accept the responsible challenges and tests that will be in your future. I know you will make us all proud as you leave here the graduates of Chelmsford High School 2003.
Should be okay. Move this out of the way, or
I said this is okay. I don't know. I'll tell you, it's going to depend on the photographer.
Stephanie Lynn Bacon. Kara Michelle Bomber. Melanie Ann Borodaka. Emily Morse Bowen. Alicia Jean Britton. Lauren Courtney Buno. Joan Marie Burnham. Joanna Budkevich. Angela May Chambers. Surbi Chatterjee. Dana Chow. Nicole Faith Coder. Gina Elizabeth Constantine. Deborah Ilana Danzig. Rebecca Elizabeth Davis. Ashley Victoria Day Lewis. Justine Marie DiCarlo. Aditi Dar. Abigail Murray Dockendorf. Rosemary Francione. Heather Lori Gaudette. Mary Elise Gauthier. Tracy Lynn Gurman. Teresa Lynn Glidden. Tara Marie Goodhue. Lindsay Elizabeth Gray. Amy Louise Guerin. Elizabeth Ann Hamill. Jessica Lynn Hauser. Molly Elizabeth Hennessy. Caitlin Maureen Horndahl. Hannah Shakira Kaur. Carolyn Elizabeth King. Jacqueline Nicole King. Kelly Kathleen Latina. Michelle Cynthia Lazinski. Sarah Marcy Lawyer. Diane Leah Marchand. Megan Lee Mendonca. Laura Joal Morabito. Noreen Laura Morash. Amy Doris Morissette. Danielle Lynn Nolan. Danielle Lee Nutter. Lindsay Michelle Parent. Diana Min Foe. Frances Julia Plum. Laura Lee Pomerlow. Linda Diane Price. Christine Marie Provost. Christine Alice Real. Caitlin Richards. Stephanie Ann Rummel. Wendy Amanda Saffron. Amanda Christine Siebert. Stacy Jean Silva. Robin Fischel Smith. Shannon Louise Spellman. Ellen Jean Swain. Carrie Elizabeth Thorman. Alicia Marie Vasquez. Stacy Elise Vigna. Kimberly Louise Valaire. Tanya Visnaskas. Rebecca Lynn Watts. Emma Marjorie Matthews White. Elise Virginia Wolf. Janae Marie Wright. Hannah Ji Hun Yoon. Sarah Ann Ahern. Jennifer Claire Barrington. Valerie Sokun Bolin. Sarah Elise Braunschweiger. Alyssa Marie Campbell. Erica Nicole Casanova. Trisha Kai Wei Chang. Rebecca Lynn Christian. Jacqueline Marie Cormier. Allison Joy Craig. Melissa Marie Cucciara. Jennifer May Key Deer. Allison Marcy DeFreitas. Patricia Ann Derry. Ashley Elizabeth Dobbins. Laura Lynn Erickson. Lauren Elise Anation. Kristen Kirby Finnegan. Heather Marie Flory. Jennifer Teresa Fournier. Megan Elizabeth Frink. Shannon Gow. Ashley Lynn Goodwin. Sarah Faye Hardy. Margaret Alicia Hawking. Laura Maureen Houston. Laura Malaya Hughes. Stephanie Elizabeth Jones. Anna Wilson Kane. Jennifer Ruth Keys. Christy Marie Lannon. Wendy Beth Levine. Kerry Lynn Lucas. Lauren Jean Maggio. Jennifer Lynn Martin. Stephanie Marie McAllister. Shauna Teresa McHugh. Marina Theoni Mihalidis. Michelle Elizabeth Molinari. Suzanne Lauren Moreno. Carolyn Jean Musnix. Melissa Dawn Murray. Katie Jean O'Donnell. Elena Ann Petricone. Opeka Foley. Tracy Ann Hopkin. Danielle Elaine Richard. Megan Lynn Rourke. Christine Marie Rosa. Jennifer Lee Rousseau. Christina Aruro Roussos. Erica Marie Schmid. Miranda Lee Scamacho. Amanda Lee Sendelbach. Patrice Jean St. Peter. Sarah Elizabeth Streb. Lauren Marissa Sykes. Catherine Keefe Tyrell. Lindsay Dawn Valcourt. Lindsay Marie Wakefield. Laura Marie Williams. Yan Yi Wong. Ann Suching Yu. Kimberly Gek Ang. Julie Ann Belleville. Kara Elizabeth Breen. Caitlin May Briggs. Kerry Elizabeth Buckley. Abby Kathleen Carter. Jessica Henchi Chow. Allison Lynn Chase. Marjorie L. Clinton. Kristen Jean Connolly. Leah Beth Conti. Kelly Ann David. Kelsey Leah Duggan. Kristen Elizabeth Eskenes. Kate Lynn Farrell. Laura Denise Fisher. Colleen Marie Fleming. Natalie Michelle Fletcher. Ashley Lynn Freilich. Courtney Ann Gagnon. Amanda Jean Garvey. Jennifer Ann Glidden. Sarah Daly Halleck. Amanda Lee Hamilton. Lacey Nicole Hunt. Caitlin Maureen Jordan. Myun Yoon Kim. Lori Ann Kinney. Kara Maureen Klingman. Jennifer Ruth Kukoven. Helen Marie LaGrange. Elizabeth Verity Long. Jessica Ann Lynham. Armine Matavosian. Heather Eve McGann. Jennifer Lynn Metcalf. Anjana Modur Mohan. Leslie Claire Murray. Ashley Lynn Anderson Norman. Jessica Marie O'Rourke. Rebecca Ann Peterson. Nicole Marie Place. Catherine Mary Pratt Herman. Kenan Ryan Rankin. Bethany Christine Reese. Amanda Marie Richer. Shauna Louise Riley. Caitlin Ray Rowe. Rebecca Seau. Stephanie Ann Seck. Karen Amanda Siegel. Lindsay Ann Sheehan. Kendra Marie Sutton. Daryl Avery Winifred Swanson. Heather Ruth Tang. Lindsay Kathleen Trzynski. Nicole Lindsay Valentino. Caitlin Mary Venard. Caitlin Grace Waters. Jennifer Grace White. Christina Louise Walden. Lauren Renee Zwart.
They're over there.
Abraham Amin Aboud. James Ronald Adams. Joseph Anthony Barberi. Shamik Bhattacharya. Daniel Kenneth Bryant. Christopher David Butcher. Christopher Michael Carey. Brian James Castonguay. Keith Lawrence Desjardins. Gregory Henry Donaldson. Timothy Patrick Dowd. Christos Exarchos. Michael Patrick Finnegan. Todd Matthew Fletcher. Matthew Stewart Frazier. Daniel Jan Fighton. Kyle Robert Junta. Craig Ian Goldstein. Michael Flynn Gormley. Vincent Pasquale Graham. Robert Daniel Gum. Brian McElman Hatfield. Sean Christopher Hennessy. Keith Richard Henshaw. David Paul Houle. Michael Taylor Howell. Ara Bedros Jeknavorian. Jeffrey Adam Jones. Alexander Peter Kahl. George Henry Kennedy. Charles Phillips Kinnett. Michael Derek Knight. J. Martin Lindquist. David Allen Mayers. Daryl Brian Markey. Ara Matavosian. Patrick Ryan McInerney. Francis Robert Meathy. Michael Paul Moore. Sultan Ijaz Muhammad. Sean Christopher Mullins. Matthew Ryan Navoychik. Michael Stephen O'Donnell. Andrew Keegan Park. Ravi Sharma Parmar. Sean James Patno. Kyle Allen Reed. Matthew John Reed. Peter Kenneth Robdow. Neil Gregory Robinson. Gregory James Segnini. Nicholas Matthew Slavich. Wayne Eugene Sobanek Jr. Daniel Joseph Stevens. Jeffrey Carl Terrace. Joshua Matthew Turner. Jonathan Mark Timula. Stephen Christopher Valeri. Jamie Robert White. Ryan Ahern. James Samuel Berry. Eric Liam Bowmingen. Isaac Asher Bresnick. Matthew Broski. James Terrence Burke. Edward Leo Burns III. Timothy Robert Byrne. Hosan Chow. Stephen Robert Collins. David Todd Comans. Adam Matthew Davidson. Patrick Brendan DeKelly. John Michael Doucette. Joseph Victor Dufresne IV. Edric Ang. Christopher John Forrest. Matthew David Friedis. William George Fury. Jacob Michael Garbars. Jason David Gladstone. Keith Edwin Gogan. George Daniel Gunaris. Thomas Tikkanen Hall. Philip Sean Harrisek. Christopher Michael Heath. Christopher Scott Herman. Christopher John Irving. Christopher Michael Johnson. AJ Narendra Kapadia. Brian Dana Coy. Jeffrey Scott Kinney. Colin Ladd Click. Adam Christopher Kowalski. Daniel John Layler. Torrin Michael Lakin. Andrew Stephen Lindquist. Andrew Ian Murdoch Lowe. Jason Bruce McDonald. Miroslav Majernik Jr. Ramson Disney Malalo. William Patrick McCann Jr. Arthur Joseph McSweeney. Joshua Michael Mockerman. Robert Joseph Moore. Rick Andrew Mollard. John Michael Muse. Jacob William Oliver. Anthony Joseph Palumbo. Tarun Ashwin Patel. Chad Allen Penny. Kenneth Stephen Plant. Carl Medford Rabakow. Kent Alexander Reardon. Sean Dominic Reardon. Vincent Stephen Russo. Thomas Michael Solowski. Ross Alexander Shelton. John Richard Spellenberg. Mukund Shareshbabu. John Arthur Swenson III. John Christian Taylor. Vincent Michael Villano. Craig Joseph Vital. Justin Charles Whitehouse. Peter John Almloff. Jeffrey Michael Arnett Jr. Dana Edward Boudreau. Ryan Francis Burns. Richard Patrick Burt. Thomas Nicholas Kukunis. Braden Walter Shagnon. Sean Michael Coulinane. Spencer James Cunningham. Timothy David Curran. David Carter DePalma. Matthew William Doherty. Shashanka Srinivas Guvadula. Daniel Reynolds Finn. Craig James Gentilotti. Adam Joseph Genevizian. Andrew Stephen Gobiel. Keith Robert Gontars. Timothy David Gorham. Anthony Joao Govea. Kevin Paul Gray. Christopher William Gum. Eric Andrew Hamilton. Ronald James Hampton. Timothy Nayland Hardy. Philip James Heffernan. Eric Neil Henderson. Eric Hill. Benjamin Stephen Hoover. Fred William Johnson. Matthew David Johnson. Kevin Philip Jones. Matthew Thomas Kehoe. Garrett Peter Keimig. Brian Daniel Kelly. Kevin Sela Kem. Vikram Kilampali. Scott Allen King. Christopher Michael Landry. David Rockford Levine. Albert Lynn. Matthew Thomas Lovett. Patrick Michael McGuire. Robert Edward Millardo. Benjamin Peter McHugh. Tyler Keith McWilliams. Mark William Maloney. Charles Julian Miraz. Ryan Patrick Mullen. Brian Patrick Nagel. Elliot Jeffrey Page. Stephen Andre Dominique Panagitopoulos. Jason Edward Price. Anthony William Rainville. Douglas John Reed. Michael Henry Rowe. Daniel Patrick Ryan. Anthony Joseph Santos. William David Sayers. James Patrick Scanlon. James Wilbur Scoville. Paul Joseph Sheehy. Christopher John Sims. Robert James Stratton. Jason Patrick Stewart. Theodore Richard Tang. Justin Cole Taylor. Jimmy Peter Chiklis. Matthew John Vigent. Lucky John C. Vera Kim. Matthew Garrett Wall. Ronald Richard Wetmore. Jesse Ian Worcester. President of the Class of 2003, Daniel Patrick Shannon.
Class turn tassels.